So I didn't know what it was because I was too young. I was a teenager when she was watching that movie. But I didn't know, I didn't understand why that lady was behind the fence. Then later on, after I read the book of Julio Tsuka, it made sense to me that I think that some Japanese American were sent in places like that. Um, it's interesting to read. Really, in school, they do not tell you exactly why Japanese also attacked Pearl Harbor, the U.S. naval, military naval in the Pacific. So it was like a surprise attack to them. World War was very, very an important part of the history of the world because what after that many things happen. It's unfortunate that in the case of Africa, of Africa who participate to the war, the African continent got absolutely nothing from from the wars, and we participated, but then we never had anything from the war. And it's almost like the African did nothing when our parents went to serve and did also the war for the right thing. The book of Julio Otsuka is very inspiring and it shows that it made me go really to read history about Japanese American in America a little bit because it's bigger, it's longer than that, but just this part. And like I said earlier, it would be interesting to know what the Japanese history books say about the attack of Pearl Harbor. What was the reason? Because in school where I was, they don't even tell you exactly what really happened prior to that. But what I understood a little bit, it was that there were some competition between America and Japan in the territories of the Pacific. So I would like to be very curious to know how America got, I don't know if they got colonized, I don't know how to say that, the Philippines, and how they got Hawaii and the Samoa. I mean, I will really be curious to know the history of that part. But if you know, it would be interesting to share that with me, please, to me in the comment box. Um, and later on, I think, things got better. I think after the war, the Japanese American was compensated. I think, according to what I read later in books, not in her book, but in books, because her book made me go reading all that. Okay, her book made me be curious to know more about the Japanese American in America, and the books that I read later in libraries say that at the time of President Ronald Reagan, they compensated Japanese American. That's what they say. They apologized. They compensated the Japanese American in America. Of course, many things already happened. The hurt already happened. But what I was really interested to know is compensated Japanese American, have they compensated African American? Have they apologized also for what happened in the history of Black America when from the beginning we were forced to leave the African continent and be forced to slavery and work so much for America. I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know if it happened to for Black America. I don't know. I'm just asking. When I went to California, that's when also because I read the book, but I didn't know much about Japanese American, honestly. And when I went to California, to Los Angeles, I saw people looking like Japanese, like they were like Japanese. And I felt, that, oh, there are some Japanese people here. And my sister told me, no, they are American Japanese. They are Americans. So I didn't know much. My apology. So that book really taught me a lot, enlightened me a lot. And I understood why in the map of Los Angeles they have Little Japan. I understood because later on I read that at the time I don't know if it's still the same thing. Japanese Japanese American were bringing traditional Japanese women or men, I don't know, to teach them the Japanese culture. Do you understand how important it is to know your culture, to know your origin, to know where you are coming from? I was impressed when I read it that Japanese Americans were bringing Japanese from Japan, traditional Japanese, to teach them their culture. American Japanese bringing Japanese from Japan, traditionalists to teach them the culture. When you know your culture, when you know where you are coming from, this is your strength, your strength. And sometimes I'm confused when you have black diaspora, people from the black diaspora who feel like they have no connection with Africa. And this is when I am completely confused because, you know, it's interesting to see that. And the question that I sometimes have when I see some videos like that, people say, I don't have anything, connection with Africa, blah, blah, blah. The question I have is the black people the only diaspora, the only race in the world who do not want to be unified, who has a problem of being one? Because you have many black people of the diaspora who feel very comfortable saying that I don't care, I don't know what Africa is. I don't care what I have no connection with Africa. When they obviously look black, like with black feature, because yes, from what we see someone is your phenotypes. And usually when people see a black person, they assume that you are from Africa, unless now they hear your accent, unless you tell them where you are from and you show your passport. But from the other race, when they see a black person, they first assume that they are black, they are Africans. So it is interesting, that thing really interests me. I thought it was really interesting to see that because I see other culture like the Chinese culture, American, they really know their culture a lot. I mean, I'm not making any assumption or judgment, but it will be interesting to know because when you see these communities, they are very strong communities. Their children know their culture, they know who they. It's very interesting. So, what makes Black diaspora some of people of the because there are some black people who are very proud of the African continent. I've met some black Americans who are very willing to go to just to visit Africa. You have people from the Bahamas who like Africa, people from Brazil, yeah, black Brazilians, they still have some cultural thing from Africa, Haiti and such and such. But you have many also who feel like I have no connection with Africa, which is a huge mistake. It shows that these people do not know the history. Because if you know the history of Africa, you will be proud to say that I come from that continent. And this is the continent of the beginning of every rest of the world. Okay? Not only that, but being black and having, and anyway, so that's what I want to say. So if you read this book of Julie Otsuka, you will learn about a lot, and I think it will probably help you um, discover part of the history. Thank you, and I will see you next time.